Thank you very much, Chaz, and apologies that you have to suffer through this freezing cold room in that very thin t-shirt. I am shaky over here.
It's
it got
so
like
cold.
crazy cold in the last 5 minutes. Excellent game.
Yeah, really good game.
You know what would cheer you up?
I'm happy.
Okay, well, the next segment is cancelled. Let's move on to the final game of the day. Some singing.
Okay.
This is what I'm excited about. Because we got a lot of submissions for our...
I actually saw, and the problem is,
Yep.
I'm not well versed in like music. I'm very well versed in musical theater, and like if you give me like I can sing most songs from Book of Mormon,
Yep.
or from Chicago.
I don't think we could use...
But like,
Yeah.
I saw a lot of songs that weren't from any of those things.
That's
so-
true, that's true. There is a musical song in here.
Okay.
You were all over that straight away when I was like, what's this one? Because I have not seen that film.
Oh, yes.
But I reckon you'll know most of these. And,
Okay.
And Rusty and I can jump in and help if need be. Rusty
no.
and I... Rusty and I can jump in and help if need be. The first one comes in from a friend of the show, Hysterics Cast. He's watching.
Okay.
So this
G'day,
is...
Jake.
Hello. Do we have the lyrics? I don't know if it... Oh, good. They're tiny. That's fine. Jake, here, you can use the
You
computer.
know this song.
You know, it's all
Is
stuff.
this Smash Mouth?
Smash Mouth.
All right, so how does it go? It goes, somebody once told me the OPL would show me a crazy meta put on its head. They were trying lots of klepto with spell thieves. What? Spell thieves making tops go. Why the hell is he so fed? While the hits keep coming and they won't stop coming, the Karma top just kept on stunning. Karma doesn't stun. The lyrics are really
good until
throwing
the
me.
end.
Smash Mouth are a terrible band, but they would never stoop so low as to stop and criticize their own song halfway through a performance.
I
You
doesn't
done?
win.
You refused.
Yeah.
Okay, doesn't win.
It was
There you
good
go.
until the last moment.
It was a nice.
There was also a couple of like extra syllables put in there, Jake. That really, you can't add extra. You can take syllables away because you can always elongate a syllable.
Yep.
But it's very hard to
That's true.
remove a syllable from
That
a
is
word.
that is true. That is true. All right, second one. Do you know that's Amore?
Pardon?
That's Amore?
Yeah, when the moon...
Yeah.
right.
This one comes in from Sleepy Australia. Do you want to duet? Oh no, we're going to duet the next one. That's what we're going to do. All right.
I really read the next one.
Yeah.
And no, we're not
Yes,
doing
we are.
it yet. When the thresh hooks hits their eye like a big old pizza pie, that's support, please. All right. When the brand seems to shine and KDS won too much time, that's a support, please. That's also an extra syllable.
Yeah,
See, these
we're
guys.
getting
Do you guys sing this to yourself? Also, scratch that one.
Not that one. All right. So far, it's a 0 for 2
yeah.
strike rate.
And I really was expecting more. How hard is it to write music?
Okay. Do you want me to sing the next one?
Go for it.
This one comes in from Tortorific.
You also have to commit. I feel like I'm at least committing to these.
No, you're not at all. You stop halfway through and you criticize it. Here we go. Near, far, where you are.
That's why we're not doing it.
He's committed.
That the requiem goes on. Why does the requiem?
I think you kind of
go
hit
on?
Carthus's like vocal range too.
Your head
My ears.
hits the floor, and there's fear in your
I agree.
heart.
Stop! Is he saying words anymore? I can't tell.
Goes on and on.
Well, that definitely lowered our health bars.
A commitment scale. That was top tier. You hard committed.
Yeah.
Well done. That's a
that was
well
not-
Yeah, well
yeah.
done.
All right.
Great job.
I'm
Great
crying.
job,
That
Nick.
was actually so good.
Well
I was
done.
just so emotional.
Thank you very
That
much.
also didn't have any extra syllables.
No extra syllables. It was very easy to sing. Yeah. The next one comes in from Davo Earlo. This is to the tune of Hit the Road Jack. Rusty, you know that song. This is a good one.
No, I'm not doing it.
Oh, come on, Rusty.
on. Tank and watch him come back, Dash more, oh Shen. Don't treat me so mean. You're the loudest ninja I ever did see. Stand united and I see you go. I'll have to tell my team, oh no! Terrible. My performance, sorry, not the lyrics. I feel like I know the first half of Hit the Road Jack.
Yeah.
I do not know the second
No
half.
one knows anything after Hit the Road Jack. That's the problem with what that song.
Very
I
true.
don't want to contribute too much because I'm not singing them, but I feel like Hit the Road Zach is an immediately better starting point.
That's probably a very good point.
champion
If
there.
only I offered the song to someone called Zach to sing
I
it.
don't know
Seems
who.
like just a
The
missed
Zorn
opportunity.
No Zach here.
Anamorphous.
This one-
What is it?
The
Amorphous
Zorn
combatant.
amorphous combatant.
I just liked Animorphs too much as a kid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm just laughing at Jay Squids in the chat, who makes a very good point. How are you offbeat when you're making the beat?
That's a very good question.
It's very true. It's because I got in my own head and I started going, I don't actually know what the tune is.
Can we get you a metronome?
Yeah, I definitely do. My hands became independent to my mouth. All right, this one, Amy plays. We've got a couple
It's
left.
Am Plays.
Am plays. Is it
Surely
Am plays?
It's
It's A-double-M.
It's
Her name is Emma.
It's Emma.
Emma backwards.
It's
Oh.
Emma.
It's definitely not Amy by any means.
Isn't
It's
it?
like
But
isn't
all
it?
right, please continue.
All right.
Oh, this is a good. You got to hit the right key for this.
This is I'll make a man out of you.
Let's get down to business to defeat the Nexus. Another.
Extra syllable.
Anyway, did they send me inters when I asked for wins? You're the saddest bunch I've ever met, but you can bet before we're through. Feeders, I'll get the win out of you.
Beautiful.
Tranquil as a scuttle,
You can continue.
but on fire
there's two
within.
parts.
Oh,
it changed.
Oh, so you stop your inter. I hope that's once. You are sure to win. You're a spineless, pale, pathetic lot, and you haven't got a clue. Somehow I'll get a win out of you.
Well done. That deserves a clap. Yeah, that was beautiful. That was legit.
I like
really
how
like
the lyrics
Mulan, by the
weren't-
way. Mulan's great.
They weren't like especially changed. It was like just enough words.
Yeah. I'm never
Brendan-
going to catch my breath.
Brendan Resist says, "Trash, put Nick back on."
I want a Rusty
okay.
song
No,
now.
singing,
not getting a Rusty
singing
song.
scale, Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Commitment scale,
Rusty.
Boy.
yeah.
Hey, that's,
Rusty.
Rusty's down here.
what more can I do to commit to that song? That
No,
was
well, I
even
mean,
like
that's the
committed.
commitment.
Nick definitely has the volume.
He just has you beaten because he's like full on.
I want to point out that like he didn't scream the song in Mulan. In Titanic, that song was screamed.
Well, you just got bad luck at the draw.
Well,
Yeah.
it's hard to not scream when the ship's going down. Okay, this next one is more spoken word.
Okay.
You're walking in the jungle. There's no wards
Oh
around.
my god. Oh, no. Yes.
And your supporter's dead. Out of the corner of your screen, you spot him. Zai LaBeouf. He's following you. About half a screen back. He turns into a ghost and walks through a wall. He's gaining on you. Zai LaBeouf. You're looking for your team, but you're all turned around. He's almost upon you now, and you can see there's blood on his face. My God! There's blood everywhere. Running for your life from Zia LaBeouf. He's brandishing a scythe. It's Zia LaBeouf. Lurking in the tri-bush. Jungling superstar Zia LaBeouf. Camping in the brush. Zia LaBeouf. Killing for score. Zia LaBeouf. Ignoring the objectives. Actual bronze 5 Zia LaBeouf.
That's a winner, I think.
That one's fantastic. So that one came in from Steel Sings Ose.
That is great.
I mean, it's going to take a lot to top that
Yes,
one. I
absolutely.
feel like
Yeah.
It's a soft spot too. Shia LaBeouf is just the best.
is excellent. And then the final one
Okay.
comes in from Right Tessum. Tess, I assume I've gotten all these names wrong.
Lady Tess.
Now, it's very important that, Bryce, you need to do the actions. I'll do the singing, you do the actions.
Ooh,
Yep.
two-parter.
Oh, close.
Oh, no, okay.
You'll know it though.
You ready? You put
Alright.
your Ori ball in, you put your Ori ball out, you put your Ori ball in, and you shockwave all about. You do the Oriana and you turn around.
I'm
That's
attached.
what it's all about.
That was pretty good. Actually.
Oh, Oriana, etc., etc., etc.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck on the desk.
All right, there we go.
That was also
All
pretty
the
good.
songs. Well done. We need to pick a winner.
That was more successful than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually. And I mean, that wasn't even all the songs. These were just the good ones. No, these were the ones. These were the ones that I felt like we could get some singing performance out.
All
of.
right, well, the Shia LaBeouf song won.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I think between number 1 and the Mulan song.
So it was either Smash Mouth All Star from Hysteric's cast.
Yeah.
Can we give a
You know what would have been real meta?
Riot employees.
If during the Smash Mouth one, you know those like 10-hour mixes of and they don't stop coming and Jake just seamlessly transitions like the end of the song to they don't stop coming and he just kept going. That would have been impeccable.
So then we've got Sleepy Australia, That's Amore. We've got
Didn't like that one.
Tortorific, My Heart Will Go On.
We have to go with My Heart.
feel like
that was the Nick Boy performance that carried that one.
But I mean, isn't that most songs?
Most selection is then
song
the
selection,
advantage
exactly.
they got.
We got Hit the Road Jack. I mean, I mutilated that. I'll Make a Man Out of You. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Xylabuff definitely wins, and then Wright's one there. So I reckon we give it to Xylabuff as the winner. We get My Heart Will Go On as second place, and third place goes to Emma, Amy, Ame, whatever your name is.
Amish plays.
Ame Place? Amish Place. Very impressive that you managed to send that in on a computer. All right.
How do they play League of Legends? Yes.
They build one.
To the next game.
On that note,
No, I've just got Amish Paradise in my
The final game of the evening. AV versus Gravitas. Gravitas? Who knows? Emma? Backwards? All right. Spicy tips up, please, because it all rides on this game.
It does.
This is it.
Oh dear.
Bryce either goes down with the ship or the rest of us do.
No, not true. I'm winning.
Oh, except for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. The ship being you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm the ship, you're all on me.
Yeah.
Get on.
All right. Should I sing Celine Dion again? Is that the cue? How are we feeling about this game?
I'm feeling quite good after yesterday's performance.
Yep.
The thing is, and I'll say this every time I play against Order, Gravitas, or Mammoth, is I don't know what team I'm playing against when they show up to play. And if Gravitas play at their best, I don't know what the outcome would be, right? But so far, I would say form check-wise, we're looking very good. AV's looking very good, I'm confident.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that I will say is like AV kind of misexecuted their comp like 3 or 4 times during the mid game, and that was a pretty like linear train kind of comp. So that makes like if you do that late game once, you might lose the game off it because of cooldowns and things like that. So I just think that if they stick to their guns and play their style, you know, it could be a straightforward game. I think that kind of to Rusty's point that Gravitas will maybe have a curveball here, and I want to see what Harry plays. Maybe it's a Yasuo game.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, someone you can check out while the game is going on is Sybil. Sybil is our Twitter POV for the game. There's a lot of energy going on.
He is
there
also
at
the
desk
starting
right now.
jungler, Sybil, so you're not watching him on the bench or anything.
No.
He's
That would be
playing.
interesting, though.
Yeah.
Maybe we could sort that out. Just, you know, see what they do when they're watching the game. We should put a camera in our room.
I don't know what he does.
No, we should not.
Bad
ever.
idea.
Bad idea.
Bad
Bad
Nick-
idea.
Bad Nick boy. Throw it to the desk.
we caught it. Cool.
Has anyone ever scolded themselves so like
Thoroughly?
rashly on a broadcast before?
Nick Boy is like he's like a one-man like broadcast crew in that he flames himself, he bigs himself up, he does Celine Dion like
just a
he's gonna
giant weird man
Yeah.
is I think what we'll go with.
He's gonna be up for an Oscar next year at this rate. Anyways, we've got Avant versus Gravitas, and I feel like there's some interesting stuff going into this one. But the first thing I want to talk about is Sybil is back. And he's been gone for a couple of weeks now, so we see this change up. What does that change in your mind, Bryce?
Haven't seen him for a while, right? Like Swaith and Sybil have been the alternating junglers. We've seen a lot more of Swaith. So we don't really know what Sybil brings to the table, right? Like they obviously in all of their social media, all of their like videos and stuff, they split scrim time, so we don't know what they've been practicing like behind the scenes. Swaith definitely brings more of the Kayn, more of the Eve. Sybil has his Elise and stuff like that, but I feel like in terms of stage games, more often than not, he gets put on the Sejuani duty much more than Swaith does. So I feel like a soft read into what we expect from AV. They're a team that can show some really weird stuff, and some of that does come from the jungle. I expect that not to be the case here today with Sybil on the lineup.
A very hard to predict team overall, but maybe things change just a little bit with Sybil being in. Of course, he will be the POV stream today, so you can check that one out. The Elise ban is drawn, and we instantly get a lock-in of the Thresh for Aladoric.
Yeah, interesting. So Yasuo taken off the table. We saw how effective that could be last game, but first pick Thresh for day number 2 AV. They did it versus Order yesterday. They're doing it versus Gravitas here today. Elise has been the respect band here from the red side. So Sybil, despite not playing in the OPL the last couple of weeks, does claim some respect from his opponents here, and that is a Pyke.
Yes, it is. Decoy locks in the Pyke, and we also will have Elise in for Praless. Yeah, this is clearly a Gravitas game plan we'll see how that one works out. I'm excited now.
Yeah, so it's been double blind Lee Sin here for Gravitas. They did it yesterday, they will do it here today, but this is going to be one hell of a volatile bot matchup. Pyke is one of those champions that you don't see all too often, and either he works and he works really well, or he doesn't work at all. So to see it this early in a draft is certainly fairly weird. Kaiser's going to be the lock-in here from Gunkrab. He's been going back more towards much more of the Jinx sort of style, like he's been going towards
Blowing
those hyper
people up,
carries.
yeah.
So Kaiser is less bullying early, especially given the changes to the 80 carry itemization. Interesting to see how it fares.
So we get our answer on the Sybil question, and that is, what is he going to be going for? He does go for this big tanky, but still backline divey kind of champion in the form of Zac that has received a lot of attention recently as well. So this is the kind of thing that Avant can use to basically pull in and take out members of Gravitas on the backline, who are going to be a little slippery because we've got an Ezreal locked in for raid.
Yeah, this is a very mobile composition against what should be a very big hard force comp. Sybil has been a long time Zac player, so certainly can be potent on this champion. This is no solo laners locked in from anyone. Darius actually hits the ban phase here.
That is
Gravitas,
interesting.
So not something we've seen all that often. Chippies, out of all the top laners, I feel like maybe he could be the one to bring something like that out. But
That's fair. Like, Chippies is kind of like Mr. Experimental. But then again, we had like a Riven locked in for like
Paprise
the other week. So, I guess anything can happen.
have
LeBlanc's
seen
going to hit the ban as well.
some weird stuff here. Of course, red side is Gravitas, so they ultimately have the counter pick. Avant will have to blind pick one of their solo lanes, so it makes sense to go towards like a LeBlanc ban. That's a champion that when it punishes very well, and
Okay.
Interesting.
So we have a Fiora as well as the Darius. This kind of tells me that Pabu has something special in mind. What do you think that could be?
there's a lot of things open right now. Like Urgot, obviously the only top laner that has been banned away, like in the first phase from their side. The fact that he's banning hard like carry matchups, he could just be going towards something like the Scion. Silas was played yesterday by Gravitas, so there's certainly potential there as well. And
Yorick ban.
So maybe it's like a blind Spell Thieves top, you know what I mean? He's banning away very difficult matchups. Chippies, long-time Fiora player. Yorick has been played in the LCK into the likes of Karma, so Pabu, if he locks in here, has a lot of options, because Gravitas have the choice. Do they hold for mid or do they hold for top?
Yeah, as you mentioned, without the solo lanes being locked in, it's kind of like the first of the blind here. So timer's going to tick down, and it looks like we are going to get that Silas after all. Now, technically this is a flex, but we've really only seen it top in the OPL.
Yeah, that is true. I feel like there's a couple of players that have played it jungle, but we haven't seen it come out on stage just yet. So with Elysian locked in, it's not going to be this game. I feel like this is much more likely to go to Pabu. We had a very good Silas game yesterday and may just get back-to-back games here in week number 5.
Hard band to read on that camera, too. Pabu was all business. He's gotten so like dark and gritty since he changed his hair color.
Yeah,
man.
he went to All Stars, was bright and blue, and now it's angry
dark,
Pabu.
dark Pabu, yeah.
Dark Pabu, evil Pabu.
We've got a Jace locked in for Chippies as well, and it completes the comp with an Orianna. That's a pretty solid ball delivery system between the Kai'Sa and the Zac, and it's all down to that counter pick in the mid lane. Harry, what will he take?
Syndra has been played by Harry in the OPL already, had a very rough time into Order Zac composition, so
Syndra
is going to go back-to-back and very standard mid lane matchup. The most interesting thing about this game is the sides of the map. Ezreal, Pyke, they can do some damage with a skirmish jungler, especially against something like the Zac, where Prayler should have a lot of freedom early to set things up, but Chippies, if he gets the ball rolling on a Jace, he's been a long-time Jace player and has had probably, out of all OPL top laners, the most successful Jace games in the OPL, full stop, period, all time. It's a very hard champion, especially in the top lane, to actually make work on the competitive stage. It requires a lot of discipline, so see how he fares in this regard.
Yeah, Chippies is just such an interesting player that in terms of his champion pool and the way he likes to play. Like, because I was a pretty new entrant to watching the OPL, watching his Olaf the other week was like really, really impressive. And I think he pulls out a lot of experimental stuff, and it lends to that wild card nature of Avant in terms of what they actually will pull out. But their results have been anything but wild card. Remember, this is a team sitting at 6-3 right now, and if they knock off Gravitas, well, they're looking pretty solid, all things considering.
Because they have the head-to-head, right? And AV, like, you can respect it. They're a team that they have their own opinions. They decide what they think is good, and they'll just play it. So Chippies is like, yeah, I think Olaf top is good. Let's play it. Like, they don't subscribe to the meta, which makes them a very hard team to play, to draft, to just go up against. You don't realistically know what you're going to get. Them having the double jungle flex with Swathe and Sybil as well just adds another spanner to the works. And I feel like on the other side of the coin, Gravitas has been much more of a consistent, consistent is the wrong word, much more of a standard team.
Yeah.
You kind of know what you're going to expect. This is
Consistently
probably,
standard, if
yes,
you will.
this is one of the weirdest drafts we've seen from them so far. Like the Pyke in the bottom side, Decoy, not really known for these sorts of champions, is much more of a defensive like a Braum and Alistar in the past on his time in Legacy and stuff like that. So Thresh first pick into an instant Pyke answer, super interesting.
Yeah, now we are joined on the desk by Coach Kai of Avant Gaming, so welcome.
Yeah, hey.
Awesome stuff. I want us to start by talking a little bit about Sybil because we haven't seen him for some weeks now. Within the team, you guys have kind of this alternating cadre of junglers and players. What is his attitude? What has his approach been to kind of waiting on the bench and waiting to come into this game? Has he been chomping at the bit?
Yeah, he's super hungry. Like, he really wanted to play. He came in today, he was just completely ready to show what he's got, and he's just put in all the work he can to get to it.
And do you think it allows you guys to play drastically different styles? Because my read so far, just like observationally for what we've seen in the OPL, like Swaith comes in, he plays like the Kayn, he plays the Eve, stuff like that, and Sybil tends to go more towards the Sejuani, the Zac. Is it that flexibility for you guys that he brings to the table?
I don't want to give completely away what we do and why we use them. But, yeah, there's an aspect of champion pool difference, but environment difference too.
Okay.
So it's fantastic to have the both of them. They're just great together.
Yeah, because that's certainly like to speak for like Sybil's been in the OPL for a very long time, is like a veteran of the scene, has been around on multiple different teams and has that experience advantage over someone like Swaith. I want to talk to you about like this game specifically. This is a fairly weird draft. We've seen from you guys the double Thresh first pick back to back in your games yesterday and now today. Did you expect something like a Pyke to be the response here from Gravitas?
I had no idea what they'd respond with, to be honest. Come down to it and you're like, they could do this, they could do this, they're going to weak side, what are they going to do? There's so many options, and they ended up going for the Pyke, which, I respect it. It's a pretty good pick, it's a pretty ballsy pick, and let's see if they pull it off.
We'll see if they'll be able to do it. And thank you so much for joining us, Kai. Good luck to the team for the game.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we're getting things underway. We'll definitely want to keep an eye on that bottom, but I also want to kind of keep the other eye peeled up towards the top, because this was something that Gravitas focused a lot of attention on, banning out two of those like hard carry top laners. And a lot of people that have picked up Sylas haven't really banned champions away from the matchup. And Chippies goes for something that has a significant range advantage here. How do you think this matchup kind of fares between these two top laners?
I feel like Sylas is a champion that, first and foremost, he does incredibly well into tanks because they can't realistically trade back with enough damage that he can't just heal up. So like melee tanks, we saw it yesterday versus the Ornn into Biopanther. He'd look for something, but Pabu would just whack him a few times and then heal up with a W and be completely fine. But I think this mostly will come down to where the jungle pressure lands. Praelis certainly has the advantages super early in the game, which is tough for a Jace to deal with. You can see he started on the top side of the map. He's going to get top scuttle, and Sybil is pathing from top to bottom, so won't be influencing anything in the top lane matchup just as yet, but there is certainly kill threat. And if a Jace falls behind, that is absolutely not where a Jace wants to be in the game. He struggles to find relevancy if he does get set behind early, and you can see Gravitas, they've already invested their jungle control topside for Pabu.
Yeah, they have. A couple of wards already there. Praelis still sniffing around. On the other hand, too, of that matchup specifically, like we talk about Pabu, or we talk about Sylas being useful in team fights to hijack and quickly utilize an ultimate. But what is he going to do with Chippy's ultimate? That doesn't really feel like it does anything, right?
It gets you a ranged EQ more often than not. So it gets you a Shock Blast.
Okay, so you get one of those.
Yeah, which is super weird, because like onto the Transform champions, like if you get a Nidalee ulti, you can like go into Cougar form. Yesterday,
and then you get that suite of tools very briefly.
Yesterday into the Direwolves composition, he had very good choices. There was a Braum ulti, there was like an Ezreal ulti. That's pretty good because you get the ratio. He had the Ornn ulti, obviously. This game, he's not spoiled for choice. Shockwave is pretty good. You don't get the ball. You guys were questioning on the broadcast, you and Jake, like what actually happened. Sylas,
just Shockwave on yourself,
He
right?
is the gap closer. He can sombrero flash into the backline, or he can just E onto a carry who, in this case, are actually pretty immobile in the hands of Kai'Sa and Orianna. They don't have dashes to be able to dodge away from a Shockwave. So, mid lane, though, that's a barrier pop.
Yeah, so Shockwave. He can also, I suppose he can go Let's Bounce.
Yeah, Zac ulti.
Speaking of, Zac going into the back, looking for Raid and Decoy. They do land onto Raid and take him down. That's a first blood picked up by Gunkrab.
Yeah, Flash Flay to start off the gank. A level 4 Zac gank is not something you see very often, but AV certainly make it work. Raid has TP, so he won't lose much in terms of CS and experience, but loses his flash, loses his life, and AV on the board very early.
Patient setup by Sybil, too. He was sitting there for a while in that lane. So good start for the other jungler of Avant Gaming. Now it's going to be an all-in up towards the top side. Pabu having to burn his flash. Chippies is not, and he gets the better of the trade on a level 5 1v1.
Misses the chains there in the hands of Silas and just immediately respects the damage and flashes away. Both top laners have gone back to base and reset. It's a Dark Seal Fairy Charm just for a little bit of sustain and regen in the hands of Pabu, but Chippy straight up longswords, right? That's what Jace wants. He wants the straight damage, and with that comes back and gets an immediate advantage. So both these side lanes right now, certainly AV favored.
Yeah. That's actually something I had meant to talk about at the start of the game, but Kai's interview was really interesting, and I kind of lost my train of thought. Chippies is on a champion that's kind of a potent side lane threat. Oh, hold on a second. We'll get back to it in a minute. Shock does get stunned, and in goes Decoy, forcing the flash. That's a nice roam out from Decoy. But yeah, I wanted to talk about, like, does this become like a 4-1 style composition for Avant, or do you think they'll try to deathball with Chippies just providing heavy artillery?
Well, I think it's definitely not a death ball. Like, when you have Spell Thief or Frostmancy in the game, like we saw last time with the Karma, like, then you can straight up 5v5. The way I see it, kind of in a more general sense, League of Legends, you obviously have a laning phase, and then you go into this mid-game phase of everybody's just rotating and trading around the map. So you go into the 1-4, if you have a 1-3-1 comp, like, from that 20 to maybe 35-minute mark is where you see 1-4 versus 1-3-1. And then when you get into super late game, it's just straight up 5v5 again. People catch waves, but then they immediately group because the execution, like, it comes down to the engage. Who lands their button first on a fight that favors them? And then you just get to play out the straight up 5v5 team fight when you get late enough. So I think both of these guys with control mages, this is an old school mid matchup in the Syndra Orianna, will just be going towards a standard 1-4 game. So whoever has priority, hold that. That's a knockback into turret almost, but Hayri's in trouble.
Yeah, he's forced to burn his flash as there was the ball delivery. Sybil just kind of walking up and making it happen. Flash traded for the summoner, though. Definitely in favor of Avant Gaming, holding the slim lead in the gold game early on in this game. And most of that's just off the back of, like, a couple CS, to be honest.
Well, that's the thing. They have the first blood. They have a few CS over the bottom side, and Chippies is building a slight lead. Itemization, Silas relies on his stealing of health, his W, to keep himself topped back up. And if you are a Jace and you can land that consistent poke, then Executioner's Calling can be very valuable. It's much easier as well to build this as a Jace as opposed to something like a Scion, an Urgot, and Ornn, or any of the tank matchups that you traditionally see Silas into. So I feel like Chippies is definitely understands the matchup here. He has the advantage already, blowing the flash in the straight-up 1v1, and is just continuing to look for the pressure. And Jace is more often than not just about not stepping over the line. You win a lot of your matchups. Most of the time you pick Jace and you have a priority game. You want to be pushing, you want to be chipping away at the turret, and where you see them falter is when he steps too far forward, gets himself ganked, or has to blow a flash or loses a 1v1, something like that. So it's up to Chippies in this game to maintain the vision control. We just saw him walk down the river, place a pink ward just above mid to then go back topside and sustain himself, like, this matchup back up, but it's all about the overcommit. If it happens, Jace can falter, but so far, so good. Oh, that lands.
Yeah, that was a pretty decent True Shot Barrage. Gunkrab going to be forced to back away. It actually is a little bit of a kind of deja vu when it comes down to some champion choices. Gunkrab did have a banner day on this Kai'Sa the last time the teams met. Remember, that was last week in week 4, one of our last games on patch 9.2. And it was actually Chippies that piloted the Silas in that game. A little fun history fact.
Yeah,
recent
interesting.
history.
This is a red invade coming out. The timing is nice. Aladoric goes back to base, left lane, and does get the Moby boots, so he gets onto the map fairly quickly. Decoy shepherding his jungler in here. Praelus gets out with the red buff.
Oh, Aladoric's just a little bit late to the party on the hooks. He's had so many close calls on them, like pixels away.
And also, like, both of these supports are opening up on the map. You can see Decoy went and ganked mid, burnt the flash from the Orianna fairly early. Aladoric has rushed Moby's pre-support item upgrade. He hasn't gone for the upgraded Ancient Coin, just goes straight boots in this matchup. So, hold on.
Praelus just solo found
That's a dead
Sybil,
Zac.
and he's going to be able to pop him. Wow.
Is he going to wait for it? Oh, Lantern.
There
Oh,
we
and
go.
actually gives it to the Syndra there. So
That is actually really big.
I say give. It looked like Hayri definitely just took
Kill
that
secured,
one.
for
Yeah,
sure.
he took it. But if you're a Gravitas fan, you certainly would like this one to be on the Syndra rather than the Lee Sin. But just finds Zac in his jungle. Almost a solo kill there from Praelus, and very nice pickup.
Really
There's the
interesting. Okay,
EQ.
so here's how the hijack works. He just turns into a ghost Jace for a moment.
Yeah, he gets the farm from range. That feels nice.
Yeah.
Some auto attacks.
Yeah. So much for being a melee champion. Praelus will utilize the advantage that he gained by killing Sybil to secure a very critical Fire Dragon down bottom, just prior to the 10-minute mark.
Yep. Gets himself a kill. Jungler dead means a very easy Infernal Drake pickup. Feels very nice for the Gravitas boys here, and Rift Herald kind of being sniffed out somewhat. Pabu sees Sybil taking the top Scuttle Crab and is just like, can't commit to this one, just trying to be as annoying as possible, and backs out over the Baron Pit Wall.
Yeah.
Has a CS lead in the jungle. 20 CS, 4 or 5 camps up or over his opponent here, so...
Praylis has been doing pretty well. And I think just overall, like, Praylis has actually been a fairly impressive jungler in terms of activity for this Gravitas team the last several weeks.
I feel like almost overactive to some degree, right? Like, in some of the Gravitas losses, he has had some heavy CS deficits, but is looking for plays early and then maybe over-indexes or, like, looking for ganks. It gets hard punished. In this matchup, like, Zac isn't exactly the quickest clearer, but against something like when you're a Camille into an Olaf and you look for too many ganks, Olaf just steams ahead of you, insta-clears all his camps and
Yeah,
just
there's
starts
such
setting
thing as
this stuff up.
over-aggression.
Decoy mid
Speaking
again,
of over-aggression, Shock is forced to flash. Decoy, Praylis, they were all there and ready, but a quick flash means Shock is back in the range, but Praylis is not gone yet.
Yeah, that was just a spectator bug. Praylis didn't actually leave the bush here. I don't think he left the bush there either, so back-to-back, we're not going to see it, but it's just kind of sniffing around. Zac on the bottom side of this mid lane as well as the Thresh, so everybody just kind of teeting around this matchup. It's a 15 CS lead in the mid lane. Favors Gravitas, favors the red side, but this Jace pick into Sylas is still doing wonders, just building a slow incremental lead, and that is certainly what you want from a Jace player here from AV.
Yeah. Chippies just kind of stacking them up in this game. So Avant are going to go into this mid game, you know, close on even keel, despite the fact that Sybil's kind of getting out jungled here by Praylis. But the question is, who does this really favor? Once we get past this extended laning phase.
It's fairly similar, right? Actually, we're going to hold that conversation.
Yeah, talk about that in a minute, because Praylis is going in for the tag
misses
team.
the chain, misses the Q.
Oh, Chippies just walks out. Secret Agent Jace.
Yeah. Fancy feat, you know, it's all the training. They go through bloody months and years of that at the Secret Agents, and sidesteps double abilities there and keeps himself safe, so... You see what that means on the other side of the map? This is what good teams do, right? Like, Chippies forces Praylis to show on the top side. He burns his flash, but it's a double flash commit from the other side, and immediately Aladoric walks up the river. Sybil walks into bottom river, and they have triple pink wards on the bottom side of the map. All of a sudden, Gravitas' bottom lane is just sitting under turret, like completely scared to venture out anywhere. Hayri's doing a similar thing in the mid lane, as they have to respect it, so...
And that has a knock-on effect on the map, right? Like, if you keep Raid and Decoy locked up, Decoy can't go a roaming and make those plays. And now Pabu's kind of caught up between two. He gets pulled back, and let's see if he's able to get anything more, because the rest is going to collapse. Praylis forces up a kiss there. That's a 3-man shockwave. Praylis does take down Sybil, and Shock doesn't have any more damage left. Gravitas just had enough in the tank.
And AV thought they had the pick onto Praylis, onto Pabu rather, but complete turning around. Sybil, no passive from the earlier death on the Zac, so he falls down very early. Stun lands onto the Orianna, and multiple kills picked up. Praylis now onto the Rift Herald, and top side of the map goes disastrous.
Starts to get the ball rolling in Gravitas' favor. That means it's going to be Rift Herald picked up here. And we can praise individual performance of Chippies and the like all you want, but plays like that are going to cost Avant.
And you saw just how potent the healing is from that Sylas. His 1 HP goes back into the Orianna, almost looking to 1-for-1 trade himself, but heals back up to half now. Rift Herald needs a turret in the bank. Orianna dies, and the Syndra picks up multiple plates. And you see how this one starts off. Pabu shows and then sits around for a very long time. Chippies has the early rotate over Praylis, who's now walking down the river, but you see they just commit very heavily. Sybil is actually very squishy. The Syndra Lee Sin damage is enormous in the back end, and he drops immediately. Shock. No shockwave. He's already used it in the fight, and he's just an easy cleanup kill on the back end. And
yeah. Pabu was just baiting hard. It looked like. I didn't even see everyone running up, but he gets half health, and then the Sylas regen takes over. They couldn't quite finish the job on him. Gravitas now finding themselves a little bit more than 1,000 gold advantage, and as you mentioned, they've basically got a banked turret. It's just where and when they choose to use Rift Herald.
Yeah, because you see where the gold is held. It's in the mid lane, it's in the jungle. Like, there's almost 1,000. There is 1,000 for the Syndra. Just a bit less there for Praylis on the Lee Sin, has been able to find things to do in the early game, but that mid lane turret is literally a Rift Herald charge away from breaking. You can see AV know that fact, and Aladoric is rotating up. He has the Mobies trying to clear out as much vision and just defend his mid lane as much as possible.
Right.
If Praylis drops this Herald next to the wall, it will be blind because he's on a pink ward, but Thresh can cancel this if he chooses to drop it.
Aladoric's actually just going to move back under turret, so this would be a good moment to do it. Pralus actually just walking forward. They're going to try to go for more plays first instead. It's Decoy got stuck on by Sybil. He is going to walk away. Scout of the week. There is the jump in, and he just hops that wall.
Such a slippery champion in the Pike. Does fare incredibly well in early skirmishes, but there's been only skirmishes on the top side of the map. The Pike hasn't been involved in anything. The bottom lane for Gravitas has just been playing hella weak side, right? Lee Sin's getting things done around the Jace lane, trying to restore parity to that top side matchup, and hasn't really been able to do anything on the bottom side of the map. So Gunkrab has been building a lead, right? Like, to talk about the bottom lanes, Ezreal doesn't scale poorly, but Kai'Sa scales incredibly well. So Gunkrab has had some very good performances here from AV. Certainly setting himself up for a good game here with that early kill over to Raid, and almost at 2 items at like the 15 to 20 minute mark.
Yeah, it's a slow build for Avant, right? Like, they've not been the ones going for these big, crazy plays. A couple of attempts courtesy of Sybil, but it just hasn't necessarily netted anything. The difference is Gravitas using the lead that they have, they're going to try and push this forward. Turret plating's long gone at this point, but it does mean that we're going to be in for a couple of tower trades, and Gravitas do seem to have the edge just barely. As I say it, tower does fall first on the bottom, but we already had first brick in the mid lane, so it really doesn't matter.
Rift Herald breaks, so it is a 2-for-1 trade here for Gravitas in terms of turrets, but Sybil makes that a 2-for-2. You count the mountains, that feels good, especially for a composition such as this. They have the tank to be able to start up a Baron. They have the consistent AD damage and the Kai'Sa, so banking up those Earth Drakes means that once the 20-minute mark is hit, you can certainly do the Big Purple Worm pretty damn quickly here.
Oh yeah, that's true. You look at the damage that they got on the Avant side. But Gravitas has still been able to show an ability to kind of react and force fights on that as well. So it won't be a very safe Baron if it starts up without any fights.
Because we haven't talked too much about like overarching compositions, but Gravitas don't have a tank. Pike doesn't like scale with health. You cannot build health on that champion.
And Pabu's sustainable, but he's not a tank.
He's an off tank at best. He's a tanky mage that, like, as you say, relies on his sustain to keep him up in a fight. Like, he can just get literally one shot, and that's what Sylas is prone to do, right? But there's 5 pickable targets on a composition with a Zac, a Jace, and a Thresh on the other side of the coin. So AV,
and an Orianna.
Yeah, AV, if they find a pick, which they have ample opportunity to, they will get a pick. Whoever they get on, if it's not an Ezreal that can flash E away, like everyone else is fairly immobile and will just die to a Sombrero Shockwave on top of their head. But on the other side of the coin, like Gravitas, they have the lead right now. It's not great. It's only 1.5k gold, but they're looking for more on the top side. They find Gunkrab.
And all of a sudden, he's kind of isolated here. Nowhere for him to go, but he does get jumped back, courtesy of a timely Lantern by Aladoric. And man, that looks like a tough spot for Gunkrab. I didn't know what he was doing out there, but he had his buddy in his pocket.
Yeah, calm nerves there. Holds on to the flash and doesn't blow that one early. Just uses the ulti. To talk about, like, Thresh is a very hard champion to play, naturally. Like, professional players, they can do it, of course.
It's a high skill cap.
Yes, Aladoric and Gunkrab have pretty damn good synergy, especially when it comes to Thresh lanes. There was a matchup, I don't know who they were playing against, but earlier, a couple of weeks ago in the split, they were using, like, Thresh Lantern to bait ganks intentionally, and they had an AD carry like an Ezreal with a dash. Hold that.
Sybil gets pulled in again. He's going to go bouncing into little blobs. He goes now. Do Avant want to try and force a fight? No, it's Gravitas forcing the follow-up onto Shock right now. Sombrero. That's not going to be nearly enough. He pops himself a barrier, and he's still going down. Gravitas grab 2. There's a teleport back down into the mid lane. You can see that Gunkrab didn't want any part of pushing in the top after that play.
Yeah, tried to get a little bit of chip damage on the turret, which he does successfully, but can't take it down and has to respect that Gravitas can just straight up walk up the river and he will die. So TP's back to base, gets himself a slight reset, but more picks onto the Zac. This is how Gravitas are gaining their leads. They find Sybil slightly overextended. The Lantern cannot be grabbed when you're just 4 little Zac bloblets and he falls down. The continued play loses Shock his life as well. So.
Pretty sure you can just teleport on a blob. That's about the only way to save him, right?
Yeah, well that is it, but it's been and gone by this stage. We see a TP flank here from Pabu, so Shockwave flashed there on top of the Orianna's head, so a little bit of Sylas mechanics on this one, flexing on his opponent and picks up the second kill.
I don't even think it was worth barriering there. I mean, Shock should have known he was a dead man.
Because as you mentioned, like you can TP to a Zac blob to save him, but you can't cancel TP anymore. It used to be like, oh, if you have an Ezreal with TP and your jungler's getting caught, you're like, yeah, mine's not that valuable.
No way they were going to win that fight.
Yeah, I'll just use it on his head. I'll keep him alive and maybe he can live and I can just cancel at the last second because I certainly don't want to die for him. But nowadays you see like, unless you're hard committing to a fight where your Zac is already basically dead, which is very, very seldom ever going to be the case, then we just haven't seen team comps or teams whatsoever TPing to save Zac because it's just not worth the expenditure.
Yeah, but Civil has just been not very big this game. It's just very squishy on the Zac. Of course, he is sitting on the Cinder Hulk, but apart from that, all he really has is some boots too and a Kindle Gem.
Has the Cinder, but does he go like Spirit Visage? Does he just go Knight's Vow to try and keep one of his
I mean, he might want to at this point. Like, I feel like it's going to be the Gun Crab show if they want to try and get into this one.
Because a lot of AV's games have been the Gun Crab show. Not saying that like he's the best performing member, but they pick Jinx comps and try play around him, right? Like he's a solid 80 carry that is playing well, and they're looking to give him resources here. This game much more. They went for the Jace, double hook.
Pulling back into the box they go, but it's Alidoric that has way too much damage on his health bar. Decoy pulling back Sybil. He flashes again, and he's going to get one abduction. The Shockwave is not enough for the deletion damage. Shock is there, but the rest of Avant just not in a position to respond. And now Shock's down again. This might just be Baron.
And so many picks in back-to-back skirmishes here. 20 minutes is past, and Gravitas, they're looking towards the Baron. Chippies is on the other side of the map.
Yeah, where the heck was Guncrab in all of that?
At TP Jace, there's no way he wants to contest this one. Guncrab was 20% HP. You have to remember he got chunked by Ezreal to the start of this one, and he falls down. They don't want to fight, but Alidoric gets caught in the jungle, and this is going to be Baron. Gold lead explodes to about 5,000 gold here for Gravitas, and this game heavily swinging in their favor.
This is big for Gravitas right now. They'll back away 5 Baron buffs in tow, and all they really got for that on the Avant side was an outer tower bot that Chippies had already been committing to.
Yep. Ocean Drake is tentatively started up here by AV. This is a very interesting play right now that they're doing. This is something I'll call the weak side rush. You just mega lost a play on the top side of the map. You know Gravitas, they want to reset after Baron and walk into the bottom side. Pabu may just pay the price for it here. He's pinking the blue buff and does have to concede this one, but does he face check? Doesn't know that Kaiser's there. Hook is on. He does.
There's the flank. So they will delete Pabu. Give him a second. He's still going to fall. Should be secured up. That's a lot of sustain, actually.
Hook
he might be buying enough time for them to turn it around. He does fall. It's a kill critically given over to Guncrab.
Ezreal ulti coming through.
They gotta walk away. True shot! And so 1-for-1 already. Guncrab incredibly low, and Alidoric is gonna stay and flay, but he will not last the day. Goodbye, Alidoric.
Lee Sin is on the long chase, though, flanking behind the Kaiser and AV.
Oh, dear.
Oh, they get mega punished for this one. Pabu maybe not accounting for the fact that he can buy so much time with the Zhonya's, because that is in isolation a good play. If you get a pick onto Pabu, then you lose a minute on Gravitas' Baron. They're trying to set up the map, but all of a sudden it's a 4v5, and they have to wait for his death timer, wait for him to get back on the map, but they just stay around for way too long, and one Ezreal ulti, sitting on 2 items, does so much damage on the back end, and W from Silas, the Zhonya's buys enough time for the cleanup, and Gravitas, they end up with more.
Yeah, no, that was huge right there. It started good for Avant, but then it all went sideways, and it's 22 minutes. I mean, I don't want to call a game over, but every single play, Gravitas are just coming out ahead.
Yeah, any sort of skirmish at this point, like, we talked about how Gravitas are so squishy and an ulti from Shockwave will just blow them up. On the same coin, like,
they haven't been able to get it. Like, Shock is using it defensively.
Yeah, but like, there's a Zac on the other team who's been getting picked on. He's 0, 5, and 2. He is not a tanky Zac by any means, but he's the tankiest member there. So if any CC lands from Gravitas, you have Pyke resets after resets. He's incredibly mobile, been all over the map. This game has fit the finished Ghostblade and can look for these picks. These skirmishes, if the fights start off well for Gravitas, they will snowball incredibly quickly just by nature of the champions they've locked in here. So it's definitely hard for AV to defend against this Baron. There's about a third of it left, so Gravitas have about one more deploy, one more play to set up for this one, and it's looking to be the top lane in a turret.
Sending Harry on side lane duty. The rest of Gravitas up in the top side jungle here of Avant. And
looking for
looks
Rez,
like Sybil. Oh, just out of range of the hook.
Ambitious play there, looking for something. Maybe a little bit of desperation here coming out of AV. They're hard committing for this one as Gravitas still setting up the top side of the map. Midwave now shoved in once again. Alidoric doesn't actually go for Hex Flash in this game, so interesting to see what his rune choices would have been, but now he's just straight up flashless on the Thresh. Tries to hook the cannon. Tries to hook the cannon into range so they can kill it, but that feels bad.
But yeah, this is definitely a little bit of a roughie for Avant because they do keep trying to make these plays, trying to find one of all 5 squishy members of Gravitas, but they just can't quite finish the job. And yeah, look at how much they get chunked. Raid is starting to pop off on Ezreal now.
Got the double tier build, so
full blue.
ulti plus Sork Boots does a hell of a lot of damage there. And it's interesting because Chippies is still like in a decent position for AV.
He's sideways. He's side pushing though the whole time. He's just keeping pressure on.
He's 50 CS up over his lane opponent. He is a strong Jace, but he just doesn't have the time. Split pushers need time to hit turrets in the side lane to build the slow advantage because it is really a building game. You start chipping away at your opponent, you start chipping away at the turret, and then the payoff is at the end, right? When you get to play around, you actually get to commit, but the fact that Sybil has been caught in the 4 and the other side of the map so many times means that Pabu is happy to sack the side lane, to just look for the group and hard force these fights, and Chippies just hasn't had the time to set up this game, to play in the side lane and actually wait around for it. He's got himself the lead, but Sybil once again.
Yeah, he's going to pull Prayless back. Do they have the damage to chunk him out? Shockwave not going to land where they need it to, and he flashes but still dies. Raid still takes down Sybil. Both junglers out of this one, but Raid is caught going golden. Gunkrab getting chunked into the back. However, they do get one shut down. Maybe this is the fight that Avant need, but Harry flashing in, scattering the weak all over Summoner's Rift. That is a quick double kill, and it's flashes across the map.
What is
in goes
going on?
the chase. It is absolute madness. Double kill now. Can he clean up Decoy? No, he Ghostwater dives away.
And just as we were talking about Chippies in the side lane, Gravitas heavily overcommit to a botched fight underneath the turret. Hayri came in to try clean up on the back end, but too little too late. This Jace is now absolutely monstrous. 4 kills on the back end. And we see how it started off. Prayless kicks a Zac ulti. There's nothing you can do there, and Syndra is still in the mid lane. It's a 4v5 now, 3v5 for about 10 seconds, and it's just the overcommit after overcommit. Raid goes in and dies to turret range. Syndra comes in, nice cleanup on the back end, but this Jace is just so incredibly strong. Clean up 2 members on the front, cleans up the back end of the fight as well. Very nice flash to get himself out of this one, and Chippies is now a monster.
Yeah, Chippies is pretty big, so that's going to be a big sigh of relief breathed by the Avant members, but they still have a ways to climb to get back into this. One thing I wanted to talk about before we got into this fight, and I might have to wait again because both teams are pretty keen.
Ooh.
As well, or nearly gets a hook, and I don't need your lantern. Hop that wall.
Zooms over the wall.
One thing I wanted to talk about was this is starting to remind me a little bit of the Avant Bombers game last week, where Avant kind of had a lot of options to either team fight or to side wave, but they had kind of like been stretched between the two. And in the end, Bombers were just basically able to outplay them. And I feel like Gravitas, up until that fight, was doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, they had the Baron buff. They were setting up the map, but just skipped a few steps there and get caught up in a fight that they shouldn't be taking just a little bit too early. So certainly throw away a significant chunk of their gold lead. This is 9.3, right? Like, shutdowns on this patch are huge. So none of them were monstrous by any means, but they were certainly picked up by AV. But this is a flank from Prayless.
And
they get a pick onto Zac
very quickly. Baron is live. Now it's going to be up to Avant to try and stop this. Pabu, half his health. He dashes away, trying to get out of there, and Avant aren't going to chase one member down.
And the pick is onto the jungler, though, so Smite Fight is not going to be there for another 30 seconds. Are Gravitas confident enough to start up the Baron? Pabu is low and has TP, so he can come back if he gets through with his recall.
Gravitas are trying to bait for a fight here in the jungle because they know if they get into a choke point, the Syndra damage is going to be huge. But at the same time, Shock is still holding on to his Shockwave.
Because also AV did their due diligence, and they have the crab. So Vision cannot be denied. No, I'm actually wrong.
No, Gravitas
that's a Gravitas crab. I thought this was AV's Vision, and that's why Gravitas was stalling, but now Zac is up and available.
There's no reaction. Raid's still holding in the mid lane. This is a 3-man Baron. Gravitas are going to get it uncontested.
Hey, you see the AD carry on mid-wave. Maybe you get a false sense of security here. Redemption comes out to check, so AV know what's going on, but too little too late here.
They're going to try to move in.
Baron.
Sybil trying to come in, but I think it's just a little bit too late, and down it goes. Sybil comes in as the rest of the team tries to close the gap here. Maybe they can find Harry. He dodges. However, taking Gunkrab pretty low. They will still be able to get a shutdown. Crucially timed Shock Blast. Gravitas walk out with 4 Baron buffs, though.
Yeah, because as the Syndra, you need the stun for the Zac, but he blows it down the river. Sybil gets on top of his head, and that's a cheeky pick. So 40 seconds basically gone from the Baron timer here for Gravitas. They won't be able to set up the map as they please, but still maintain complete control of the map right now. 8,000 gold lead in their hands. Dragon is available, looking to be super annoying.
Oh, man, Raid stings.
That does so much damage, and he's working on the Gunblade as well, so...
Yeah.
He copped it yesterday.
That's a dirty Ezreal, man.
Yeah.
That's a dirty build.
Actually, no, last week, I feel like it was Raid that got one-shot by Dreams, like, full... Like, the hybrid Ezreal build from Dream, and he just got like one tapped underneath the turret. So maybe trying to spit out a
I think you're
bit
right.
of that
Yeah.
himself. And
That was the Elise game for Order, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. That was a nutty
Interesting.
game.
So now Syndra is back on the map. Death timer ticking away. Flashes not there for the Syndra, the Orianna, the Kai'Sa, or the Jace. So a bunch of carries without summoners here. You've seen Praelis this game has actually been looking for a lot of flank kicks. He's been trying to start these ones off because Engage isn't reliable here from Gravitas. They have a Pike Hook at best. They have a Lee flank at best. Syndra stun if they can find it.
It's been messy across the board, though. Like, Avant have not executed that big, like, fat 4K Elo Shockwave. I don't know if they're going to get a chance here. However, Silas will get pulled in, into the ball, into the box. Praelis tanking tower shots. Pabu is out of there. Praelis is burning away. He's out of this fight, but Harry was looking to get a couple of deletions off himself. The rest of Avant will scatter.
And this bot lane inner turret is not good for Gravitas. This is almost 2 back-to-back fights where they've lost their Baron. They're looking to contest it this time. They have the Syndra here and available. Pinkward in the bush gives AV some vision.
Decoy wants that tower. Or wants that ward, I should say. Gravitas should get this tower this time, though.
Has been conceded here by AV, so that will fall immediately. Lee Sin is actually in the mid wave, pushing that one in. So AV certainly have the chance to force here if they want to go for it. They see Lee Sin on the map. They know it's a 4 versus 5. Sybil charges, but cancels.
Avant are cowed in their base for just a second, though. They will try to make their stand in the mid. Another True Shot Barrage comes in and clips onto 3. Forces the redemption. Immediately Gravitas start to chip away at the turret in the mid. Orianna Ball not pushing far enough to threaten here.
Doesn't go.
They're not pulling the trigger. Sybil's died too many times.
Yeah, the health bars trickling away here. Gunkrab actually potentially going back to the fountain. So
They're just getting poked out.
Gone.
Gravitas have muscled their way in, and they're going to take more than just that one inhibitor.
Hook lands, poke onto the Thresh as well. Sybil channeling once again, but he gets
stunned,
canceled.
and he's going to get jumped on. Has to pop the stopwatch, breaks it down, and he gets popped once again. Well, it's like Spawn said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and Sybil never dove in that engagement.
And now 0 engage tools here for AV. The Zac is dead for the 8th time this game. Gravitas, they take double inhib, break open the game, and now have almost a 9,000 gold lead. This is a disastrous game for the jungler from AV, and may just cost them.
Yeah, it might. Avant, I mean, this week started out pretty good for them. Beating Order, it was a tough game ahead, and dropping a game to Gravitas start to question it a little bit. This has been, I feel like an atypical Avant game. They seem a little flustered.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been because laning phase was fairly standard. It was fairly slow, drawn out. There were a few ganks here and there, like Chippy's got picked on the top side. The bottom lane for Gravitas got picked on the bottom side. But it was fairly slow. But once we got into that mid game and the Lee Sin started to find the picks, the Zac got caught a few too many times. It was an Infernal Drake. It was the gold lead starting to trickle over. And AV just really haven't found that window back into the game.
Now, I don't want to say that... Oh, hold on a second. Sybil going in. This time, he does pull himself together. A little bit of a misfire, but they do chase Gravitas away for a second. I was going to say... You know, this isn't like on Sybil, but changing a starting player can sometimes change, you know, the comms, the decision-making in a team, and I wonder if that's maybe thrown off Avant a bit, that they've gotten so used to playing with Swathe.
Yeah, potentially, because we have seen him basically for 2 weeks, because in that moment just there, it's a tiny nitpicky thing, but Sybil goes over the wall, he looks for the engage, and then the Lantern is like 2 to 3 seconds late from Aladoric. Like, he's not in position to go for it, so the communication between the two players doesn't look like it's necessarily on the same page here, and they need to find the engage. If they lose 3 inhibs, it's incredibly hard to defend your base once that's gone.
They have to decide to go in. Instead, they're just going to back away, conceding another tower. Now Sybil wanting to jump in. He goes forward. Decoy dashing back. Praelis. They're going to stick him on. Do they need it? No, he doesn't get anybody on the abduct. The shockwave is flashed away. All of the tools Avant had evaporated.
And Gravitas now, all of the tools gone from AV. No engage possible. Flash hook.
And they take out Aladoric in the box. It doesn't even matter. Pabu hits himself the swag hourglass, and Sybil is going to fall. Double kill going over the kickback once again. Avant's hopes are dropping just like their towers.
And 5 versus 2, the end will come here from Gravitas onto the Nexus.
And it will be 34 minutes on the final time. Last-ditch effort. Chippy is the last man standing, but there will be no celebration for Avant. In day 2 here, it is Gravitas that take the victory.
And they equalize the threshold here. It's a 1-1 between these two teams, and Gravitas very happy with that victory. You can see big smiles on Harry, the mid laner, had a pretty good Syndra game, and from early on, they found the picks. It was the slow snowball. It wasn't clean by any means. There was a bot lane. They lose their Baron. It almost happens again. AV finding their way back in. That was Chippy's, I think. Did he die at the end of that game? Because if not, he's like a 5-0-0
Yeah,
Jace.
I'm not 100% sure, but he kind of felt like Tally's Rise in that last game. Like, he was there, but he'd really rather be in the side lane.
Yeah, like he never had the time. We mentioned it in the mid game, but because AV fell behind and Gravitas were forcing the picks, there was just never a time where AV got to set up the map and play slow for Chippies. Like, that is a good, consistent Jace game. He was building an individual lead. He dodged the gank early. Like, it was double flash from the Lee Sin from the Silas, and he dodges out with his own, and he's building the incremental lead, but just never had time. So they couldn't set up the comp. It was just pick after pick, and it snowballed out of control.
And they just never really got to set up even for the picks that they wanted. I mean, Gunkrab was doing pretty well at just, like, in a basic sense on the Kai'Sa, but we never saw any of those like pog chap into the back line, delete somebody, the shockwave abduction combo. It just didn't happen. They never were able to press the right buttons at the same time. And they fell too far behind.
Yeah, that meant the game. Like, once the gold lead was a little bit too great, it was just the process of League of Legends, right? Like, gold lead, you set up the map, you start looking for picks. AV were forcing, it's like a flash thresh hook, it's a Zac going over the wall, but because it never connected, they just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, gravy train rolling for the Gravy Boys. So, take it away with the couch.
All right. Not the result I was hoping for, but that's fine. I just feel like, I mean, you don't like to pin a game at the feet of one particular player, but it did feel like Sybil was just never really playing the same game as the rest of the team.
Yep, it certainly felt that way. Of course, you have to remember this is the first time we've seen him in quite a while. Swaith has been playing and, he has received a lot of high praise. So this, if you are Sybil, is very tragic to come back for your first game and have a performance like that. I do not think that he played very well. I will just say that flatly as a viewer, not as someone that is representative of the org by any means. It just didn't feel right from him at all.
I think at the same time, though, you have to look at like how they set up for a slow jungler into like quite a quick jungler at the same time. And I think that, there are some things that, if your jungler is getting put in that much of a hole, like it's a team effort from the other team. So you also have to say that like the whole of Gravitas lineup were like invading as a team, looking for their opportunities. They had first move a lot of the time. And it's very hard to play Zac if the enemy team has first move. That's when you have to start like cheating through vision and things like that. And if you never get rolling in the early game, it just feels like awful to play the latter stages of the game. I think at the same time, like you really got to like applaud Gravitas. They look like a team that's very much enjoying playing League of Legends at the moment. And their macro this week has been like significantly better than their macro in the first 4 weeks of the year. Like to put it bluntly, like when we played them the first time, like we just beat them everywhere on the map. Sam was able to gank carry from like any part of the lane that he wanted to.
Yeah.
And then this time around, they're like cheating tempo with Tom Kench yesterday. This time around, they got first rotated into the jungle. They're playing with a ton of priority. Their macro just seems to like have come out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Gravitas macro-wise have improved a lot, and their performance was clean. They used their mid-game well. When they had a lead, they snowballed it cleanly as well. Very few mistakes besides the fight in the bottom lane as well, but that's also where you look at like the opposing team on AV. Chippy's just smacked them around pretty hard.
Yeah.
I think like, yeah, but I want to touch on one thing that like Bryce said to me at the end of the cast, and it really stuck out to me. Like that Jace was in a situation where it was like participating in team fighting when it probably wanted to be playing the 1-4. And 1-4 is so successful in a region like the LEC or LCK because the game slows down. And what teams do when they play with like swagger and a little bit of disrespect is never allow the game to slow down. They like stagger their recalls. They like always like fight for their vision, even if someone's off the map, because they backed on a ward and like that they don't know if the extra person is there. And I think that what like that means to me is like, I don't know, we saw it today with Tally. We kind of saw it yesterday as well when the game stalled out with Avant. Is like, just stop trying to play 1-4. Like, just play team fight. It's like Legacy just played the best team fight. Like, I love Yasuo Sejuani. I was actually talking to Bryce about it, I think, like this morning. Like, just play team fight comps, man. Team fight comps are so much easier to play.
All right, team fight comps. That's the tip. Part of that team is Raid, and he's at the desk with Pyro.
Sometimes it felt like it was a one-man team fight once those true shots were coming in. So, Raid, you guys have now stacked 3 wins in a row for Gravitas, and it's been a little back and forth at the start of the split. So, how's it feel to kind of like just be on this win streak finally?
Yeah, it feels really good. I think we've made drastic improvements throughout the last couple of weeks, especially Harry. I think at the start of the split, he struggled a lot. He was getting ganked a lot. It was just, like as a rookie, if you have like a bad start at the start, it's really hard to get back into it because you like start doubting yourself. Like,
yeah, you
am
get
I
mental boom
meant to play in the OPL and all that stuff? But I think Bryce and Brandon have done a really good job to give him confidence, and I think we're finally finding our stride as a team.
So yeah, that's kind of a two-pronged thing. You have individual performance stepping up, but at the same time, as Spawn was saying on the couch, you've really started to level up in a macro sense. Like, what has really been the focus for this team that you guys have been able to improve so much in such a short amount of time?
I think it's just like everyone's on the same page. You know, I mean, I've played with Pabu before. Daniel a whole year. Pralis has played with Pabu. We're just kind of all on the same page, and I think we're learning at a pretty rapid rate right now. So I'm just hoping we can just keep improving, because there's still a long way to go for Gauntlet. You know, everyone's fighting for that spot, and it's not going to be easy. So I think we have to just keep getting better.
Certainly, yeah. You're kind of splitting it right now at 5-5 on the record. But let's talk a little bit more about some of the micro or some of the changes that have happened in the game itself, because a lot of ADC changes have come through on this patch 9.3. But you're still rocking the Ezreal, and you're kind of doing your own thing. I think you were building a Gunblade there. So you want to go into a little detail about that?
It's not really my own thing. Ezreal's still like a tier 1 champion. He didn't get changed at all, and yeah, that build is just quite insane, because you know when you hit mid game, your ults do like half health their team, and it doesn't really change your team fighting at all. If not, it makes it stronger, because like you know your WE combo kiting back. It's quite insane, but yeah, pretty much I think almost every single AD can be played right now, circumstantially, like depending on the matchup spot. So it's just wide open right now.
Yeah, so it feels like a pretty good meta at the moment, then, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
as an AD carry,
personally, I like the old meta better. I don't know why. I think I'm the only person that agrees Kai'Sa was better last patch. It's very controversial, but you get like your Q evolve and E evolve at like 20 minutes now. You used to get it like so early with Stormrazor. So I was personally a bit sad about that, but yeah.
There's always, I guess, something has to rise, something has to fall. Well, either way, you guys rose up today and took a big win, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, back to the couch to close us out.
But the real winners of tonight were, of course, Bryce and Jake, because you have dodged
We dodged
the
the chilies. Thank goodness. But I think Bryce stays ahead of me on the tipping contest by 1, so that sucks.
Really?
Yeah, you went for the risky ones yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like, do you, because you handle the chili well,
Yeah, absolutely.
but you still don't enjoy doing it.
Well, no, I like winning. I think, like, as a competitive person, like, if it comes down to eating a food I like or winning, I'll take the win, thank you very much.
All right. That's fair. Well, it is time then for the people who need to eat the chilies. 2 out of 3 of them to eat the chilies. 1 out of 3 of them will sit smugly at the desk, avoiding all chili responsibility. He's waving at the camera right now.
Do I have like more wheat bix or something?
I demand that doctor's certificate, sir. I demand it.
Soon.
All right.
Soon.
Rusty, you and I?
You're double bird's eyeing. That's all I'm saying. None of this green.
Can I just say, I love when Zach Rusty has to eat a chili. It's like
I don't.
It's really fun because he's.
Come on, boys, stop avoiding it. No! This will be a straight chili, sir.
Yeah,
It'll be a straight chili. It's okay.
Until you have finished, until you have closed
got
out the
bread,
show,
he's got
you are not to
yogurt.
put anything else in your mouth.
I've just hooked my boys up.
What have
Here
you got? What is yogurt?
I've got yogurt, and then I'm experimenting with
got
bread
some-
today.
Excuse me.
I've been told that will help.
I
What's
want
the-
this to be official. You have to eat the chili, close out the show, then you can have other stuff.
I'm gonna eat that chili.
What am I saying?
This should be one of those things where, like, if you really want to get up to your alarm, you put it on the other side of the room. It's like you can't close out the show until, like, the cameras are off and the yogurt's over here.
Yes.
And you're sitting over there.
No.
I love that he's
should
making
be-
the
He's gonna,
rule
like,
up now
run
that
for
he's
it.
won one
Yeah,
match.
totally.
Over
Yeah.
there. Like,
Sitting over there, nice and safe with your nice cool tongue. All right, here's
doing
how
day
it's gonna
results.
work. You're doing day results and standings.
Day results
I'll
and
do
standings.
next week's schedule for Friday, and then sort of closing out all the
Okay.
business at the end.
and I'm just going to sit here and chill.
All right, cheers.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
crunch.
there is
That's a
still
crunch,
some
yeah.
chili left there, sir. There is still chili left.
Spawn is a sadist.
Oh, come on. Give me a second.
Nick's face is horrendous.
Today's results. Niles lost to Mammoth. They won last time. The Bombers beat the Chiefs. 1-1 against each other. Legacy beat Order somehow. It was Chaz. That's how. And Gravitas beat AV for the last game of today. For the standings, please. Oh my god. So, Bombers are number 1 by 2 wins now. They have separation. It's really good for them. Chiefs are second. AV's third by 1. There's a bunch of people tied for 4th now, but I'm sure there's head-to-heads and stuff there, so I don't know what it is. So it hurts. Legacy at 7th. The 8th. Go. I'm crying.
We got a bunch of League of Legends coming up next week. Here's the games that we got coming up on the Friday. Bombers vs. Direwolves, Order vs. Mammoth, Teams vs. Gravitas, Avant for Gaming vs. Legacy. Who knows who's going to win those games? I don't know anything anymore. I can't rely on anything. Please send in your questions for Nick's bag to asknickboy@gmail.com. We are hosting Zari.
Oh no.
Zariata.
Do not do this.
Well done, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for a lovely evening. We'll see you next Friday. We're gone. Goodbye.